Ming may have made his body, but Galoob gave him life. Here's a look at the NECA Defenders of the Earth Garax Ultimate Evil Robot toy version. Programmed by the wicked hand of Ming, Garax is the most villainous robot in the galaxy. Evil leader of the Ice Robot Army, he alone has the capacity to alter and adapt strategy in the endless battle of heroes and villains. Get a load of this guy's body. He looks like he stepped out of the 80s. Taking the tape measure now, that's because he did, by the way. The tape measure is going to pretty much tell us the same thing as it did when we looked at the cartoon version Garax, because they're using the same body. Because of that, same body, same size, 7 inches in height, or about 18 centimeters tall. You shouldn't really speak so quickly about sharing the exact same bodies. Same bodies, at least, from the neck down. You'll probably already see that the Galoob release of Garax does have the much larger toy-inspired head sculpt. And of course it does have the lenticular sticker of Ming the Merciless. Now it makes more sense to bring back in Flash Gordon, because I didn't have the Ultimate Flash Gordon at the time I was doing the reviews of the other characters. Here's also my favorite version of the Phantom. I like the lighter colors of the cartoon version of him, but I think the darker colors work a lot better. Especially I love the blue and black striped trunks. Some of the other figures also we can bring in too. Here's Ming the Merciless. These are all again based on the original 86 toy line, so the colors are a little more subtle, I think, versus maybe like the cartoon counterparts. Ming the Merciless certainly does take a step down, I think, when it comes to his overall design. I'm also going to bring in this time around Mandrick the Magician, and where is he? I'm going to bring in Lothar. Not that the fact that the figures did belong to this toy line, but just because, again, like NECA never ended up following up and releasing retro card backs for really either one of these characters. So if you are specifically only a collector that's going out of your way to collect the Galoob 86 toy line, updated in articulation, certainly updated in detailing, you're probably then going to have to source out again the ultimate release of Lothar and Mandrick, because they never released retro card backs of either one of them. Being that he is on his Retro 86 card back, unfortunately Garax does get stripped away some of the accessories. Now you could though look at the 80s toy line and justify why they didn't include as many things with this figure. So like for example, he doesn't have the firing effects, those are completely gone, and he doesn't also have the adapter piece for the back of Zuffy. What's the matter with Zuffy, by the way? I can hear him barking. No, that was just the wind. The figure only really does have come included with him the arm cannon and the hand blaster. And again, like the original figure would have also had those as well, so I can't fault them for doing that. He does also have 2 swappable hands. Now, the hands are going to be exactly the same as the hands that we already had for Garax before. So he comes with like obviously the hand for holding the blaster. That would be ever crucial. And he also does come include with a closed fist as well. Now, the hand before, now I did make this mistake when we looked at the Defenders of the Earth Ultimate Garax, that I said you had to remove the hand in order to attach the hand blaster. You don't. You can actually leave this on his forearms, and I'll show you guys how that works in a second. The figure does also come included with his gun. Now his arm cannon, I think, is called a freeze gun on the packaging. It's really no different, whereas the one here from the Ultimate release, it's really no different at all to the original Ultimates. The only thing that's different here, though, is obviously this is a metallic blue, and this goes more just a matte red plastic, or matte red finish. Exactly the same way, they work the same way. He does also have his blaster. And the blaster, I don't know why I have one on one side, one on the other. Here's the original blaster. Not much different, other than just, again, blue on the bottom, red on the top. This would be like a cherry icy. This would be blue raspberry. Oh, I like blue raspberries. And then, of course, he does have on the ends of his forearms right now, he does have gripping hands, or like mauling gestured hands. If you did want to remove those hands, by the way. One thing I did want to mention, though, is I couldn't help but notice with these hands, clearly what they've used is a plastic, probably like more of an opaque pearl plastic. And then what they've done is airbrushed over top of it a little faint trace of blue. The blue, I don't think has a specific dedicated area, like it had to go specifically here. I think they would have just had these all laid out, and somebody probably with their eyes closed would have just sprayed it across. Big broad brush sprays with the air gun, basically just sprayed it across. Because there are a few little areas that, especially when you do change out the hands, the blue on the top and the forearm doesn't quite then jive with the hands themselves. You'll see what I mean. So basically, we're just going to detach the hand that he has. Paint flakage will happen. Pop the new hand in place. There we go. And again, like some of the areas, like you can see on the ends of his knuckles, for example, they just are left behind on just the basic pearl plastic color. There's blue in some areas, but it's not blue everywhere. And again, if you want to change out this hand, just wiggle back and forth, by the way. You don't have to wiggle back and forth. The figure has to... Oh, and actually I did make one mistake. The hands themselves, unlike though the other one, you actually have to have the hand, because like this hand, you can see, the thumbs go in. So in order for him to have the blaster, so you may want to even, in fact, take the hand off this one to put the arm cannon over here. So what I had said earlier by attaching this onto the hand, I mean, it easily attaches, but let's just say you're the kind of collector that wants to have all the accessories displayed with Garax. Well, in order for him to hold the gun on this side, he's not going to be able to do that, right? Because obviously this hand has to go on the same side as this one. Disappointing, because, you know, again, if you would want to have the figure displayed, this hand, for example, this hand would have been on the ultimate release of Garax, so it easily could have gone on this side of the figure's body. And then this one, just show you what it looks like, holds the blaster. The blaster basically just fits, although not easily. It does fit, though, into his hands. I know this is really technically the hand that's better for holding Zuffy, being reminded of poor Zuffy, but somewhat realistically, you could have put the blaster in this hand, so then you could have had it on opposite sides. Can't quite do that, though, with the Galoob release of him. So you're really going to have to really be quite choosy. One thing good, at least, is if you have the blast effects from the other Garax, this basically would just plug onto the end of his nozzle. Again, because the 80s line would have not had that, I can understand why NECA left that off. So let's leave this off for right now. We'll put it off to the side. Getting, though, a closer look at the head sculpt now for Garax. I keep wanting to call him Garax. I think it's Garax. Anyways, though, head sculpt-wise, you can see are completely different from one another. The body molds are the same. They're sharing the same. It doesn't look like they've changed at all anything other than deco. But the heads are very much different size. This one's wider. So if you really wanted to collect both, you could say as just a rule, you could have this guy as maybe the leader. This one could be just a drone, because he's part of the ice robots after all. Yeah, the bodies are exactly the same. The placement of the mouth, being that the head is also bigger, the mouth is a little higher up and closer to his eyes. It actually looks more like he's smiling. This looks more like a Darth Vader Garax. I think really between the two, I actually like this head sculpt just a little bit more. While, yes, it's missing a lot of the lighter blue and the darker blue, the thing that goes for at least this guy, and it's very much like the original toy, has more of like this pearlesque kind of color scheme to it. The blue works when it does very well. Yeah, I know I mentioned already, there are a few little bare spots here for like his hands. Just get rid of the paint on the end of my own finger. Yeah, on the ends of his fingers, unfortunately, while I had paint on mine, doesn't really have much paint on his. The majority of the body, though, is really painted well. And just to spin this around so you can see it from all the sides. It reflects nicely as well the studio lights around me. Now, too, down below, he's got the lenticular sticker of Ming the Merciless. He doesn't open his mouth or anything like that, but I'm hoping, though, that you can see, as you move it back and forth, Ming the Merciless is shaking his head. He's like, no, why am I down here below in this guy's stomach? It is a sticker, by the way, and you can feel like it's got the lenticular, like little grooves. I was like running my finger along this when I was a kid. I was a stupid kid, just scraping along this. I eventually just damaged the stickers. Speaking of damaging the stickers, though, my only one real concern, though, with Garax here is when you do the torso crunch, obviously, because the top of the torso can crunch forward, it does seem like there's enough space. It doesn't look like it's going to run too close in quarters, but there are a few little areas on the sides here where it does make contact with the sticker. It doesn't look like... Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so... my real worry was moving this up and down. I mean, how often am I going to do this anyways once this guy's sitting on my shelf? I would worry, though, that maybe that would start to scrape him. But maybe there is enough space. Yeah, it looks like there's enough space, really, between the top and the bottom. Other than that, though, other than the sticker, other than the red that they've done for the mouth and around the eyes, there's no other placement. There's no other opposing colors other than just, again, like the pearl and the blue. But it works really well. I like the look of this figure. Still think I like the body better on this guy, but I think I like the head sculpt more on this one here. Now, for the articulation here on the Galoob release of Garax, the head's going to rotate all the way around, being that it's still on a ball joint. You're not going to have as much mileage when it comes to moving the head down. So just to bring this guy back, for example, the head could look down a lot more because there is a lot more space underneath the head. With this head being so close to his chest, that's as far low as it can actually go. The head can go up as well. And I noticed, too, with this figure, the head is a little loose. It's bobbling around a little bit more. You can obviously rotate the head all the way around as well. He has the upper torso crunch. Maybe even said in the review of the other Garax that I thought there was like an upper torso ball joint. Clearly, there's no ball joint here. It's just working on a single articulated crunch. Some would have preferred maybe this guy could have had more posability going for him. I mean, yeah, it does lose a lot of being able to rock back and forth and really being able to do the rotations. But like an upper torso crunch, I'm fine with that. I don't think it really needs anything more than that. The top of the torso does swivel all the way around. Of course, his arms, speaking of swiveling, also do the same. You can bring the arms out, not quite fully at a T pose, a little maybe less than that. You can, oh, that doesn't sound right. With a little bit of convincing, maybe you can get the arms at 90 degrees. Swivel at the bicep. The figure does also have double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate. There's a hinge, but the hinge is tight on all these hands. It's successful. You can pull it off, but it's just super tight. That's all. Other than, again, like the waist swivel, legs are on ball joints. You can see inside there. I mean, not that this is probably the original coloring of the plastic. Maybe it is. And if that's the case, it does show how much extra paint went over top of the surface of the plastic. Yeah, maybe it was originally starting as white plastic. Forward and back on the legs. This, by the way, is soft, but it's not super soft. So it's not going to have a whole lot of give. There's a swivel there at the top of the thigh. Double hinge on the knee, which are a little looser on these knees than were on the original Ultimate. Ankle pivot up and down, ankle rocker, and of course the figure does also have toe articulation. I say of course, not that you guys would make the assumption that he has toe articulation. I mean, that's my job. My job is to tell you guys, yeah, he can also do those things with his toes. I'm putting the figure down here for a second. I'm not going to bring back all the other defenders there, just because, again, we've already had a look at all of those, and I know I've brought them in several times already. Just to slide this guy over, it isn't just, again, cosmetic changes that make one thing different from the other. It almost even really seems like Garax here, the Ultimate, was a little bit taller. It might just also be the way I've got this guy displayed. Yeah, putting them side to side, or back to back in this case. Same bodies, different approach to paint. And, you know, again, like while looking at this one, maybe I am now warming more up to the idea of going with as this being my favorite of the two figures. This one kind of kept the colors more primary, making use of a lot of those lighter blues and darker blues. Kind of, again, like, I don't want to say like pixelated, but certainly like all over his body. The thing I really like about this one is also it's based on the original 86 Galoob line, but also because it does have the lenticular sticker on the front, he feels more like a toy. Does that make any sense? He feels more like a vintage toy, even though he's far from being a vintage toy, even though, again, like he's 3 years. With about 3 years, the lot number on the back of the card back says 21523. So I guess that would be like February 2023. So about 2 years late that we're looking at this. A far cry from the 3 years on the other two figures, Mandrake and Lothar, that we've also looked at during this week. Being, though, that the figure is like that, 2 years old, I like that this one has, again, like the upgraded articulation and a much different detailed sculpting. I mean, if you were to obviously compare this one with the original Galoob release from back in the 80s, which I don't have, sadly, I feel like I may have had them at one point. I mean, they've come leaps and bounds better when it comes to these figures from NECA. If you had the chance to pick these up, and I was maybe just to steer you in one direction over the other, even though I really do like the look of this one, I might probably persuade you instead to get this one. Just because, again, like the color's a little simpler, but he feels a whole lot more like a toy. One workaround to having Garax displayed with both his guns is just use the right hand for the wrong side of his body. He already has one hand anyways dedicated for holding the blaster. Well, what's left? The other left hand. The left hand that's the closed fist, just use on the other forearm. It's concealed inside anyways, the cavity of the arm cannon, so no one's really going to know that you put the wrong hand on. Now, one thing, though, I didn't mention in this review that I did sort of cover off a lot better when we looked at the Ultimate release of Garax is that you can also take the pistol and attach it to the undercarriage of the arm cannon. Or in this case, you can see there's a cavity on the top of it. The blaster actually just sits snugly against into that, so you can actually have him wielding both the guns on one side instead anyways. From a detail standpoint, this one has a whole lot less going for him than the Ultimate release. Yet, though, the pearl color they've given him and the lenticular sticker of Ming, the more that I look at this one, and then I look at the other one over here on the side of my table, I think I like this one, though, a lot more. Yes, he doesn't have all the extra additional hands. He certainly doesn't have also Zuffy's little adapter piece, but he doesn't really need it. The original 86 never had it either. I like also that this one has a much wider head. Between that, the lenticular sticker, I think this is the better of the two. Of the two, though, Garax, that we've looked at, which one would you say is better? The Galoob one that's from the 1986 design, or the one that's based on the cartoon? Let me know which one you think is better down below in the comment section. Once again, if you guys did enjoy this video, do it a salt and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. You know, I hate to be the bearer of the bad news, but this will kind of be wrapping up also the Defenders of the Earth toy line. I mean, not that I don't have any more, obviously, and I don't think really for that matter NECA did release any more other than a couple of Flash Gordon sets that came included with the Ming, but they're more based on the movie. We've also looked at those as well. I would certainly encourage, if you guys did want to go back and look at my earlier reviews of all the other Defenders of the Earth, they're here. They're on the channel. They're a little bit older, though, so bear with me. If you guys certainly, like I said, want to stick around, there's going to be a lot more videos coming your way for the rest of this week. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.